Ethan had always enjoyed the quiet moments of early morning. The sun was just starting to rise, casting soft golden light across the trees near the edge of his home. Birds sang, leaves rustled, and the air smelled crisp and fresh. But today, something felt different. A strange energy seemed to hum softly through the forest, almost like a whisper carried on the wind. His son, Leo, had been unusually quiet all morning. Normally, the 8-year-old would be bouncing around, full of energy, asking questions and poking his nose into everything. But today Leo had stayed close to Ethan, glancing nervously at the forest edge whenever he thought no one was looking. "Dad, I think someone's there," Leo whispered, his voice small and shaky. Ethan turned to his son, his brows knitting. "Someone? Who, Leo? Is it another kid from school?" Leo shook his head. "No, it's not like anyone I know. She looks weird." His small hands trembled slightly as he pointed toward the dense trees. Ethan squinted, trying to see what his son meant. At first, all he noticed was the usual mix of shadows and sunlight dancing between the trees. But then as he focused, he saw her. She was standing just beyond the tree line, bathed in the soft morning glow. At first, Ethan thought she was a trick of the light. But no, she was real, and she was beautiful but unlike anything he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly like liquid silver in sunlight. Her hair flowed around her shoulders, moving gently even though there was no wind. Her eyes, they were the most unusual part, large and luminous with colors that seemed to shift and change, as if the world itself was reflected inside them. Ethan felt a strange sensation in his chest. Not fear exactly, but a mixture of awe and curiosity, like meeting something truly extraordinary. Then he heard Leo call out, almost panicked. "Mom!" "Dad, she's a baddie." Ethan winced. He had no idea where his son had heard such a word, but it made his stomach twist. He looked back at the strange woman. She tilted her head and a soft musical laugh echoed through the forest. The sound was not harsh or mocking. It was gentle, calming, and yet carried a power that made Ethan stop in his tracks. The alien woman took a cautious step forward, her movements smooth and careful, as though she was aware of the human's fear and wanted to show she meant no harm. Ethan, swallowing his surprise, stepped in front of his son protectively. "Hey," he called softly. "We don't mean any harm. I just want to understand who you are." The woman smiled, and her expression was kind, almost maternal. "You do not need to fear me," she said, her voice like wind chimes over water. "I am called Lyra, and you are Ethan?" Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes, that's me, and this is my son Leo." He glanced down at Leo, who was still clinging to his leg. "And, what brings you here?" Lyra tilted her head again, studying Ethan and then Leo. "I am curious. I wish to learn about your world. I did not expect to frighten your son." Ethan's heart softened slightly. "You didn't, well, maybe a little. But I understand. Kids can be, well, kids." He glanced at Leo, who still looked uncertain but was listening quietly. Lyra knelt slightly to appear less intimidating. Her presence seemed to ripple through the air, gentle and non-threatening. "Children feel energy more clearly than adults," she explained. "Your son's reaction, it is not anger. It is confusion. He sees something unfamiliar and does not yet know what it means." Ethan frowned thoughtfully. He had always encouraged Leo to be brave, but he realized that sometimes bravery meant facing things he didn't understand. "Confusion, huh? So it's not because you're scary?" Lyra shook her head. "I do not bring harm. But your son is sensitive. He sees my energy and it is intense to him. That is why he used that word." Ethan's curiosity deepened. He had spent his life studying the stars, reading about the possibilities of life beyond Earth, but now he was facing it in person. "Energy?" he asked cautiously. "You mean, like magic?" Lyra laughed again softly. "Not magic, energy. Life itself has patterns. In my world we can see these patterns. Humans sometimes sense them too, but not always clearly. Your son is more aware than most." Ethan felt a surge of pride. "Leo, maybe you're smarter than I realized." He looked down at his son, who was watching Lyra closely, curiosity slowly replacing fear. Lyra rose gracefully to her full height, her glowing form blending almost naturally with the sunlight streaming through the trees. "You are brave to approach me," she said to Ethan. "Many humans would run. Many humans would attack out of fear. But you asked questions. Ethan smiled faintly. I guess that's what humans do when they're curious. And we also want to protect our kids, Lyra nodded. Yes, protection is admirable. It is also a lesson. I will show you wonders, but only if you are ready to see them with understanding, not fear. Ethan took a deep breath. I think I'm ready. And I think my son is too. Maybe, right, Leo? Leo hesitated, then nodded slowly. I want to know. I think maybe she's nice. His voice was small but sincere. Lyra's smile widened. Then we will learn together. But first, you must understand one thing. Fear is natural. Misunderstanding is natural. But curiosity changes everything. Ethan's mind raced. Questions tumbled over each other. But he held them back, letting the moment sink in. This was real. This was happening. And it was not just about meeting an alien. It was about learning something new about his son, about himself and about the universe. He realized in that quiet morning light that the world was bigger than he had ever imagined. Bigger, yes, but also filled with possibilities. And perhaps the first lesson was already clear. Sometimes, the best way to understand the unknown is not to judge it, but to approach it with respect, patience, and wonder. Lyra extended her hand, not in a command, but as an invitation. Will you walk with me, humans? Ethan glanced at Leo, whose eyes were wide with cautious excitement. He nodded, taking a small step forward. Yes, we will walk with you. And as they began to move into the forest together, the morning light seemed to shimmer around them, like the world itself was holding its breath, ready to reveal its secrets. Ethan followed Lyra carefully as she moved through the forest. Her steps were light, almost as if she floated above the ground. Leo clung to his father's hand but kept sneaking glances at her, his curiosity growing with each step. The forest seemed different with her presence. Birds chirped more clearly, and the leaves shimmered as if reflecting colors that didn't exist before. Ethan rubbed his eyes, wondering if he was imagining it, but Lyra's serene smile told him the changes were real. Why is it like this? Ethan asked softly, unable to keep the wonder out of his voice. Lyra tilted her head, her eyes glowing faintly in the morning light. Your world has its own energy, she explained. Some humans sense it. Others do not. You and your son. You both are more aware than most. Leo's eyes widened. You can see energy? He whispered. Yes, Lyra replied gently. Energy is everywhere. In trees, in water, in the wind, and in people. Sometimes it shows who someone truly is, even if they do not say it. Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. So that's why Leo called you. You know, that name. He sensed something he couldn't understand. Lyra nodded. Yes, it was not anger or hate, only confusion and fear. Fear comes from misunderstanding, but curiosity can overcome fear. Leo hesitated, then asked in a small voice, Does that mean I can see it too? Lyra smiled warmly at him. In time, yes. But first you must learn to observe without judgment. They walked deeper into the forest, and Ethan noticed that the air seemed thicker, more vibrant. He could see faint trails of light like ribbons twisting between the trees. He realized they were moving in a pattern, almost like following a hidden map. Where are we going? Ethan asked. To a place where you can learn, Lyra said simply. A place where humans and the world can meet without fear. After a few minutes, they reached a small clearing. In the center, a circle of flowers glowed softly in colors that Ethan didn't recognize. They pulsed gently as if alive. Wow, Leo breathed. He stepped closer but stopped when Lyra raised her hand. Do not touch yet, she said kindly. Watch first. See how they respond to my presence. Ethan watched as Lyra lowered her hand slowly over the flowers. They began to move, leaning toward her as if they were reaching out. Light flowed from her fingertips, spreading through the circle like sunlight on water. Leo gasped. They like you. Lyra laughed softly, a sound that made Ethan's heart feel lighter. They do not know me, yet they sense my intention. They respond to energy, not names or faces. Ethan knelt beside his son. See, Leo? It's not about being scary. It's about being understood. Leo nodded slowly, his fear melting into fascination. Can I try? Lyra extended her hand. Yes, but first breathe. Calm your mind. Let the energy around you speak. Leo closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Ethan did the same, unsure what to expect. Slowly, Leo reached out, his fingers hovering over the glowing flowers. To his amazement, they leaned slightly toward him, a soft light touching his skin. I did it, Leo whispered. His eyes were wide with wonder. They like me too, Ethan smiled proudly. You see? It's not magic, son. It's understanding. Seeing beyond what we think we know. Lyra nodded. Exactly. Many humans do not notice energy. They only notice what is visible. But the world is more than what eyes can see. To understand, you must learn to feel, to observe, to listen. Ethan felt a mix of awe, and here was. Ethan and Leo followed Lyra deeper into the forest. The clearing behind them seemed to fade away, replaced by a path of soft moss that glowed faintly beneath their feet. Ethan felt an unfamiliar sense of calm. Each step he took seemed to awaken something within him, something he could not yet name. Leo, though still cautious, began to look around with wonder instead of fear. Dad, look, he whispered, pointing at the trees. The leaves. They're moving differently. Ethan looked and noticed that some of the trees' branches bent slightly toward Lyra as they passed. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable. He realized that the energy she spoke of was real. Everything around them responded to her presence, to her thoughts, to her intention. Everything is alive here, Ethan murmured. Lyra smiled at him. Yes, energy flows in all things. In humans it is sometimes hidden. In children it is often stronger. Your son's reaction this morning, it was a reflection of that energy. Not an insult to me, but a reflection of his own curiosity and fear. Leo frowned. But why did I feel scared? Lyra knelt to his level, her glowing eyes softening. Fear is natural, Leo. It is the body's way of protecting you. But fear does not always mean danger. Sometimes it means you are seeing something new. Something your mind is not used to. Ethan nodded slowly. So, calling you that name? It wasn't really meanness. Lyra shook her head. No, it was misunderstanding. Misunderstanding is common when worlds meet. But understanding is powerful. As they continued, Lyra led them to a small stream, its water sparkling like liquid crystal. She knelt beside it and touched the surface with her hand. Tiny ripples spread outward, but instead of disturbing the water, the ripples glowed and danced with colors Ethan had never seen. Your energy, Ethan, Lyra said. And your son's energy, Leo. It interacts with everything around you. Humans rarely notice this, but you do. That is why I chose to show myself to you. Ethan bent closer to the stream, amazed. It's beautiful. It's like the world is alive in a way I've never seen before. It is alive, Lyra said gently. Humans often forget this. You see the surface, the things that can be touched and held. But life has deeper layers. Energy flows beneath, connecting everything. Understanding this is the first step toward true knowledge. Leo reached out cautiously, letting his fingers hover above the water. The colors pulsed gently around his hand, almost like the stream was breathing. I can feel it, he whispered. It's warm. Like happy? Lyra nodded. Yes, energy reflects emotion, intent, and thought. You felt joy, curiosity, and openness. That is why the stream responded to you. Energy does not lie. Ethan felt a mixture of awe and humility. He had studied science, space, and physics all his life, but none of it had prepared him for this. This was not something that could be measured by instruments or charts. This was alive, real, true. Can humans get better at this? Ethan asked. Understanding energy, I mean. Lyra's eyes sparkled. Yes, but it requires practice, patience, observation, and most importantly, a willingness to look beyond fear. Leo's curiosity overcame his shyness. Can I try more things? Lyra smiled. Yes, little one. But first watch carefully. Observe before acting. Let your mind and heart see clearly. They spent the next hour in the clearing learning small lessons. Lyra showed Leo how to sense the energy of the trees and flowers, how to feel their responses without touching them. Ethan learned alongside his son, noticing subtle patterns and rhythms in the world that he had never seen before. You see, Lyra said, life communicates in ways humans rarely notice. A flower leans toward the sun, yes, but also toward those who bring kindness. A tree bends to shield those who are gentle. Energy speaks, if you listen. Ethan realized something important. Much of human conflict came not from evil intent, but from misunderstanding. People reacted to appearances, assumptions, and fear instead of looking deeper. He had always taught Leo to be kind and curious, but now he understood there was an even greater lesson, to see the truth beneath the surface. Lyra's attention shifted to Ethan. "You humans are remarkable," she said softly. "You are not the fastest, strongest, or most powerful in the universe, but you have curiosity, empathy, and courage. Those qualities make you capable of greatness." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. I never thought of it that way." Lyra nodded. "Many humans do not. That is why I come. To help bridge understanding, to show that fear is not the only path, to show that curiosity and kindness are strengths beyond measure." Leo's eyes shone. "I want to be like that. I want to understand things, not be scared." Lyra smiled. "Then you are learning well. Remember this. Understanding begins with observing, listening, and feeling. Not judging. Not assuming only then. Will you see clearly?" They continued walking, and Lyra led them to a hilltop overlooking the forest. From there, Ethan could see the vastness of the land stretching out toward distant mountains. The view was breathtaking, but it was not just the scenery that captured his attention. Tiny threads of light, faint and almost invisible, flowed across the landscape, connecting trees, rivers, and even humans moving far below. "This," Ethan whispered, "is incredible. It's like the world is alive in a way I never imagined." Lyra nodded. "It is alive. And humans are part of that life. Energy flows through you as well. Most humans do not notice, but some, like you, like Leo, have the ability to see beyond the surface." Leo looked over the edge of the hill, his fear replaced by awe. "Dad, can we be like her?" Ethan smiled, putting a hand on his son's shoulder. "We can try, Leo. I think that's what she's teaching us." Lyra knelt beside them, her glowing form blending almost naturally with the sunlight. "You do not need to become like me. Each being has its own energy, its own way of seeing. But you can learn to notice, to understand, and to respect. That is the path of true growth." Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the truth of her words settle in his mind. He realized that life was far bigger than he had ever imagined. Bigger, yes, but also full of wonder, learning, and connection. "And that," Lyra said softly, "is the lesson of this place. Understanding is not about changing who you are. It is about seeing clearly and acting with wisdom and care." Leo looked at Ethan and then at Lyra. "I think I understand a little. Maybe more tomorrow." Ethan smiled. "That's enough for today, Leo. We'll learn more step by step." Lyra stood, her presence calm and commanding without being frightening. "Very well. But remember this, understanding grows slowly. Patience is as important as curiosity, and fear. Fear must always be acknowledged, but not allowed to control you." As they began walking back toward the forest clearing where their journey had started, Ethan felt a sense of peace he had never known. He realized that Lyra was teaching more than energy or perception. She was teaching life itself, how to face the unknown, how to understand others, and how to grow through experience. For Leo, the lesson was simple but profound. Fear is not weakness. Curiosity is strength, and even when the world seems strange or confusing, it can be understood with care, patience, and attention. And for Ethan, the lesson was even greater. Humans, he realized, were capable of extraordinary growth, not through power or technology alone, but through empathy, understanding, and the courage to face the unknown with an open heart. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, painting the sky with shades of gold and pink, the three of them walked together through the forest. For the first time, Ethan felt that the universe was not only vast and mysterious, but also welcoming. There was a place for humans in the grand tapestry of life, a place where curiosity, kindness, and understanding could shine as brightly as any star, and Lyra, with her gentle presence and wisdom, was guiding them on that path. One step, one lesson, one discovery at a time. The following morning, Ethan and Leo returned to the forest, eager to see Lyra again. The air felt fresher, alive with energy that seemed to hum softly around them. Even Leo, who had once been nervous, now walked confidently beside his father, his eyes scanning every leaf, every shadow, as if searching for hidden wonders. Lyra was waiting in the clearing, her form glowing faintly in the morning light. She smiled warmly as they approached. "You returned," she said, her voice musical and calm. "I am pleased." Curiosity is the first bridge between understanding and fear. Ethan nodded. We want to learn more, and Leo? Well, he's already curious enough to keep up with me. Leo grinned, feeling proud that Lyra noticed him. I want to understand everything this time, he said earnestly. Lyra's eyes sparkled. Very well. Today we will practice connection. She gestured for them to sit in a circle in the clearing. As they did, Ethan noticed subtle movements among the plants. Flowers bent slightly toward them, and the soft rustle of leaves sounded almost like whispers. Connection, Lyra explained, is about seeing beyond the surface. It is about understanding the energy of others and the energy of the world itself. Humans often judge quickly. They fear differences, but differences are not dangers. They are opportunities to learn. Ethan glanced at Leo. So, this is what you meant about fear and curiosity yesterday? Lyra nodded. Yes, fear clouds judgment. Curiosity illuminates truth. Then she extended her hand toward Ethan. Close your eyes. Breathe. Listen. Feel. Ethan obeyed, letting the forest's energy wash over him. He could sense the hum of life around him, the flutter of birds' wings. The following day, Ethan and Leo returned to the forest clearing before sunrise, eager to meet Lyra again. The morning air was cool and crisp, and the forest seemed unusually quiet. Even the birds were still, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Lyra appeared moments later, glowing faintly in the soft light. Good morning, she said, her melodic voice calm and reassuring. Today we will face a challenge, one that will test your courage, trust, and understanding. Ethan glanced at his son. A challenge? What kind? Lyra's eyes sparkled. Nature itself. There is a disturbance in this part of the forest. It is not dangerous if you trust and follow my guidance, but it will test your focus and your ability to remain calm. Leo looked nervous but nodded. I can try. Lyra smiled gently. That is all I ask. Come with me. They followed her along a winding path deeper into the forest than they had gone before. The trees grew taller and closer together, their trunks thick and twisted. The sunlight barely reached the ground, and the air felt heavier, charged with energy. Ethan could feel it too, the subtle vibration of something powerful approaching. As they reached a small clearing near a river, Ethan saw it. The water was rising unusually fast, swirling in small whirlpools. The wind picked up, bending the trees and carrying a low humming sound. It was beautiful, mesmerizing, but also slightly intimidating. Lyra knelt by the edge of the river and placed her hand on the water. A soft glow spread from her fingers, calming the current slightly. This is the challenge, she explained. The energy of the forest is unsettled. We must work together to restore balance, Ethan swallowed. Restore balance? How do we do that? Lyra looked at him and smiled. By trusting the energy and by trusting each other. I will guide you, but you must listen carefully. Leo clutched his father's hand. I'm ready, Dad. Ethan nodded. Me too. Let's do this together. Lyra began moving slowly along the riverbank, her hands raised. Ethan and Leo followed her instructions, observing the water, the trees, and the air. At first, nothing seemed to respond. The whirlpools twisted faster, the wind howled, and Ethan felt a flicker of doubt. Focus, Lyra said softly. Breathe. Feel the energy. Do not fight it, understand it. Ethan closed his eyes, inhaling deeply. He tried to sense the flow of energy around him, the rhythm of the water, the subtle vibrations in the air. Slowly, he began to feel it. The pulse of the forest, the movement of life responding to every intention. Leo's eyes were closed too, his small hands hovering above the rushing water. I can feel it too, he whispered. It's like it wants help, Lyra nodded. Yes, the forest is not angry. It is seeking harmony. We must guide it, not force it. Together they began to move in sync with Lyra's instructions. Ethan reached out with his hands, letting his intention flow toward the river. Leo did the same, his focus pure and simple. Slowly the whirlpools began to calm. The water's movement became smoother, gentler, responding to the human energy combined with Lyra's guidance. Ethan felt a thrill of wonder. It's working, he said. Leo laughed softly, excitement replacing fear. Look, the water. It's glowing. Lyra smiled. Yes, that is energy responding to trust, focus, and cooperation. You are learning quickly. The wind began to settle, the low hum fading into a gentle rustle of leaves. The trees straightened as if standing taller, and the forest seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Ethan realized that the challenge was not just physical. It was a lesson in trust, awareness, and understanding. "You see," Lyra said, "life is a balance. Challenges are part of growth. Fear arises when we resist, when we doubt. Courage grows when we trust, observe, and act with care." Ethan nodded, feeling the truth of her words deep in his chest. "I understand. It's not about control. It's about harmony." "Exactly," Lyra said. "Harmony comes from cooperation, not force. From understanding, not fear." Leo looked up at Ethan and then at Lyra. I'm not scared anymore. I feel happy." "That is the lesson," Lyra said softly. "Even when faced with uncertainty, humans can act with wisdom, patience, and care. That is what makes your kind strong, beyond strength alone." As the disturbance settled completely, the forest glowed faintly, as if rewarding their effort. Ethan and Leo both felt a surge of accomplishment and pride. They had faced the unknown together and had learned that fear could be transformed into understanding. Lyra's eyes shone with warmth. "You have done well. Today you faced something that could have been frightening, yet you remained calm, observed, and trusted. That is the first step to true growth." Ethan looked at his son. "Leo, you were amazing." "I'm proud of you," Leo smiled shyly. "We did it together, Dad." Lyra nodded. "Yes, cooperation is powerful. Humans have a potential beyond what you often realize. Curiosity, courage, empathy. These are your greatest strengths. And when combined with understanding, you can face anything." Ethan felt a deep sense of wonder. "I never thought humans could do this, but we did, didn't we?" "Yes," Lyra said. "Humans can achieve great things when they embrace curiosity, focus on understanding, and act with care. That is why I came to you, to show that even small actions guided by awareness and trust can create balance in the world and beyond." Leo looked up at Lyra, his eyes shining. I want to be brave like this every day. I want to understand things, not be scared." Ethan smiled. "You already are, son, and we'll keep learning together." Lyra's glow seemed to brighten as she looked at them both. "The universe is vast and full of wonders. Fear will always appear, but it does not need to control you. Curiosity, courage, and understanding will guide you through every challenge." The forest seemed to hum softly around them, as if echoing her words. Ethan realized that the lesson went beyond the river, the wind, or even the glowing energy of the plants. It was a lesson about life itself, that humans, through curiosity and empathy, could rise to meet any challenge, no matter how strange or intimidating. As the morning sun broke through the trees, casting golden light across the forest floor, Ethan and Leo felt a sense of hope and purpose they had never known. They had faced the unknown, trusted each other, and worked with Lyra to restore harmony. And in doing so, they had learned something far greater than they could have imagined. That humans are capable of extraordinary growth when they act with understanding and care. Lyra looked at them, her eyes glowing with satisfaction. "Remember this lesson. Fear is natural, but it can be transformed. Understanding, trust, and cooperation create strength beyond measure. Today you have proven this." Ethan nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride. "I understand, and will remember it every day." Leo smiled brightly. I can't wait to learn more tomorrow." Lyra's smile was gentle and reassuring. "Then we will continue. There is much more to discover, and each step you take brings you closer to understanding, to harmony, and to the strength that comes from curiosity and courage." As they walked back toward the clearing, Ethan felt a new sense of connection, not only with his son and Lyra, but also with the world around him. The forest, the river, the trees, and even the smallest flowers had all responded to their energy, and he knew that humans, when guided by empathy, curiosity, and trust, could rise to meet challenges that once seemed impossible. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, Ethan and Leo truly felt that they could face the unknown with confidence, wonder, and hope. And with Lyra by their side, the possibilities seemed endless. The morning sun rose gently over the forest, casting golden light across the trees. Ethan and Leo walked alongside Lyra, their steps lighter than usual. The forest seemed different today, calm, vibrant, and welcoming, as if it recognized the harmony they had helped restore the day before. Ethan glanced at Leo. "Do you feel it, son?" "Everything feels Alive, like it's smiling at us. Leo nodded, his eyes shining. Yes, Dad, I can feel it. It's happy. Lyra's luminous form moved gracefully beside them. The energy of life responds to kindness, understanding, and cooperation. You have learned this well. Today we will reflect on what you have discovered, so that it may guide you in the world beyond this forest. Ethan took a deep breath. I think I understand a little, but there's so much more I want to learn. Lyra nodded gently. Yes, understanding is a journey, not a destination. Each moment offers a chance to grow, and humans, when guided by curiosity and courage, can achieve greatness that surpasses imagination. They reached a hilltop that overlooked the forest, where the sun's light touched every leaf and river, painting the landscape with a warm glow. Ethan could see the threads of energy connecting every living thing. The flowers, the trees, the wind, even the distant mountains. He felt a deep sense of wonder and humility. This, Lyra said softly, is the lesson of connection. Everything is linked, and every action you take affects more than you know. Humans often forget this. You did not. Ethan looked at his son. Leo, we've learned so much, haven't we? Leo nodded, his small hands clenched in excitement. Yes, I feel different, braver, and happier. Lyra smiled. You are seeing clearly. Fear is natural, but it is not the end. Curiosity, understanding, and empathy are what guide you forward. You have faced challenges, trusted each other, and learned to listen to the energy of life itself. That is extraordinary. Ethan felt a warm glow in his chest. I never imagined humans could do this, but we did, didn't we? Yes, Lyra said. Humans are not the strongest, fastest horsepower,